Is Cruise Control. Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cruise Control. This is your on-air automotive magazine, and you know that because you know us. I'm Les Jackson. That guy is Fred Staab. We are here as we have been for many years, and we cover the auto industry, we think, pretty well. Wouldn't you say, Fred?
I think so, Les. It's always about new vehicles, tips for buying a vehicle, our reviews of vehicles, so we try to update you and let you know what's going on and maybe help you out if you're buying a new vehicle.
That's right. We're giving information out, and sometimes we tell you what not to buy, but fortunately that doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, you got a story about a concept that was well received, but it's getting a complete redesign, right, Les?
Absolutely. Chrysler's Airflow, which is one of the best names of a car that ever was. Back in the 30s, there was an Airflow. The concept's getting a new name and a big redesign.
Yeah.
So we'll tell you what's in store.
Yeah, interesting, and we'll kind of tell you about what's coming up for the brand. Then here's an interesting study. The average age of vehicles is climbing. We'll tell you why. Could it be that they're too expensive, the new ones, to buy?
That's right. And are the Chinese built cheap EVs ready to dominate the U.S. car market? We'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, it could be that U.S. manufacturers are going to abandon affordable vehicles and sell vehicles for 70, 80, 90, 100,000 and kind of cede that to these new manufacturers. We don't know. We'll find out, and we'll tell you about it. Plus, VW says there's something missing in its lineup, and we'll tell you what it is.
I hope it's not the VW test car I get.
No, it's not that.
Okay. And we're talking tech this hour, freezing the frunk and increased radar. We'll explain those.
Yep, we will. And I'll have an at-the-wheel review of the Lexus RZ. Has some unique features and all-electric vehicle, the first all-electric vehicle from Lexus. This is based on the BZ4X, which is Toyota's version, which also is based on the Solterra, and a very high-end luxury vehicle, kind of unique design. We'll talk about it, talk about what it was like to recharge it with a high-speed 400-volt DC charger, and give you a whole review of the vehicle. I kind of like these electric vehicles that are more in line with, gas-powered vehicles in the sense that they have that upfront electric motor under the hood and kind of the same packaging. So, hey, we'll have a full review of the RZ450E coming up on Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staab. He is Les Jackson. We will be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We're here every week to tell you about what's going on in the automotive industry, shed a little light on that new technology, freezing the frunk. We'll talk about that later.
The frunk.
So over at Stellantis, there's been a lot of talk about Chrysler and what the future of Chrysler is. I mean, basically, when the 300 goes away, it will be the Pacifica, and that is it.
Yeah.
Only.
That's it.
So how is the brand going to be positioned? And apparently it's been given, I think, 5 years to find its way. If it doesn't, it goes away. It goes the way of Oldsmobile and Pontiac.
Of Plymouth.
Plymouth, Oldsmobile, Pontiac,
Yep, Saab.
Mercury, you name it. So, Motor Trend spoke to, by the way, we should say the airflow concept was brought out, and a lot of people liked it. And kind of they're positioning Chrysler as the EV brand of Stellantis, and as it's described, it is the startup brand offering clean mobility, seamless technology, and affordable pricing. This is from the new head of the brand. And, of course, Ralph Gilles, who we know, who is the head of design, Stellantis design chief, brought out the Airflow. Airflow is a great name, historic name. And they brought it out and showed it off, and I think it was well received. But the new boss of new CEO, Chris Fuel, came in and said, "Hey, it wasn't different enough. You know, this airflow concept looks pretty buildable."
It does. If they could pull it off and have a nice, reasonable price, they could really change the industry.
But this is not going to be built, and the Airflow name has been scrapped.
Yeah,
It's going to be a complete new design. This is according to Motor Trend, who spoke with Ralph Gilles, and he was told that the new CEO of Chrysler wanted something that literally zero to do with anything that you've seen today, even the airflow concept. It's a new direction. Be interesting.
you got to be careful. Just like the original Chrysler Airflow, it was too radical for its time, and it was a very good car, but people didn't buy it.
You mean history could repeat itself with
That's
a
what
vehicle that's too much?
I hope they're reading history.
It'll be interesting to see, Les, what happens with Chrysler. I mean, literally, dealers are going to have nothing to sell except the Pacifica, which is not terrible, but would you want to base your whole brand on a minivan?
Well,
I mean, that's an easy question. I mean, it's a good minivan. That's a great minivan. It's got a plug-in hybrid version. It's got an all-wheel drive. But obviously, you can't be a standalone dealer and just sell Pacifica minivans, can you?
well, you can't. All you can do is team with Fiat and Alpha.
And Fiat doesn't really sell anything that much anymore.
So you have to sell Ram trucks.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Chrysler, but it's interesting that they're clean sheeting this. And, I think I'm anxious to see what they come out with. And, they need product. And it's going to hit in 2025 because dealers are just going to have to hang on, literally hang on for the next couple of years to make this, to keep it going. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure. I'm anxious to see what Ralph has drawn up, though. He's a great guy. You and I have talked to him at length. He's been on the show. So I wonder what that's like as a designer. You design something, you take it to that level, with something that looks pretty buildable to me.
That's right.
And then they say, no.
Yeah, it just doesn't look
flashy enough. I want it to look completely different. Okay. We'll see. I look forward to seeing what it's going to look like. So, hey, a new study out, Les. The average age of a vehicle. Can you guess what it is?
You know what it is, and it's going up for many years. It was 11 years.
Now it is actually 12.5 years. People are holding on to their vehicles. We got a new study from S&P Global Mobility. So when we come back, we'll tell you why people are hanging on to their vehicles. Stay tuned to Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staab. He is Les Jackson. We will be right back.
No, I can't.
Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Les, we were just starting to talk about this new study from a place called S&P Global Mobility. And it says there are 122 million vehicles in operation right now that are over 12 years old. There are, by the way, just another interesting factoid, there are more than 284 million vehicles being driven on the U.S. roads, and the record average is up by 3 months compared to 2022. Now, what do you think the reasonings for it? I don't even have to look because I think I know some of them, is new vehicles are just so much more expensive.
They are. And, of course, the vehicles made in the last 10 years are very reliable.
Yes.
So they tend to last longer.
Vehicles were not available during COVID and the chip shortage and
Right.
Dealer tricks, to raise the price, turn people off. I also think people avoid buying cars because they hate the buying experience.
I agree. I think a lot do. And the result is 12 and a half years for the average ownership. By the way, the average ownership in 1965 was 29 months.
Wow. Wow, that is an
Isn't that
interesting fact.
interesting?
Yeah, very, very interesting factoid. Sedans, coupes, and wagons made up the as well as light trucks, made up the bulk of new vehicle sales and sport utilities, of course. Last year, 78% of all new vehicles sold were light trucks or utility vehicles.
Wow.
63% of all vehicles on American roadways are trucks or utility vehicles. And by 2028, light trucks and utility vehicles are projected to make up around 80% of the total vehicle fleet on U.S. roads.
There go more sedans.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you can, with reasonable maintenance, you can keep your vehicle running for many, many years.
Yeah.
Yours is, 15, 16 years old?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And
yeah, mine's 14. My
and
wife's is 23.
the clubs of people that have those vehicles I have, some of them take them up to 300,000.
Mine will rust away before that.
It disappeared.
But that's a whole other issue.
That's a whole other issue. Yeah, you change the oil, you take care of things, it's but I mean the reasoning is it's just too expensive, new vehicles. And we say that, not to say that like $25,000 to $30,000 is not a lot of money. It is. You still can get vehicles for that.
You can.
You don't have to get the largest SUV with everything in it. You can get some decent vehicles for that kind of range of money. I also think too the trend has been in the last couple of years, no one buys the base models.
No.
They only rental companies do. They buy it with everything, don't they?
Well, that's right. And it's just, the Americans' tastes and desires and therefore needs have gone to bigger, more expensive, more maintenance intensive, more energy intensive SUVs and trucks.
Yeah.
So now they'll last a long time, but boy, they're not cheap.
No, and the average price of a pickup truck has gone up tremendously. It used to
Oh,
be what, $22,000 not that long ago for a base
not
model?
long, not long ago.
Yeah.
And now it's more than double that.
What would you say, 45,000? Can you even get a full-size pickup with a few
You know,
options for
I'm going to look
45,000?
I'm going to look that up. I think it might be higher.
Yeah. Yeah, you look up at F-150 or Silverado, and now with electric vehicles coming in, it's even more expensive, and numbers in the 80 to $100,000 range are common. Um, I think a lot of people are just going to be leasing. I think a lot of people, and as we see in this study, a lot of people are just delaying because they just don't want to deal with it. They really don't.
Um, wow, surprise, Fred. Average base cost of a full-size pickup is 38,372.
Okay.
I'm completely surprised.
Yeah. Well, it's probably pretty decent even at the base level too. So, but if you add a few things to it, you go up a trim level,
Oh yeah,
you're in the
which
low 40s easy, right?
easily.
Add an optional engine, all-wheel drive. By the time you add in all-wheel drive, maybe an upgraded engine and
Mid
maybe an
mid 50s.
upgraded trim level. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. The problem is, though, I mean, there are going to be less expensive electric vehicles coming to market. We
Right.
talked a little bit about this EV, Equinox EV. It replaces the Chevy Bolt. A lot of people are upset that the Bolt is being canceled. Um, I have a couple of thoughts on it. I don't know what the the thoughts you have are. Of course, people are like saying, "There goes GM. They have a vehicle people like, and they're canceling it again." Um,
Well, but apparently not enough like it
well,
because
they don't want to. They basically just don't want to use the old batteries anymore. It would make
yeah,
sense to say, let's just keep it around as the Bolt Classic or something like that.
yeah, but it's
But
yeah,
if they can get people into a higher priced vehicle, uh, that is more modern, built on the more modern battery. They want to go to the Ultium battery. So I understand it both ways, but there needs to be still that market, that $25,000 price range, for a well-equipped,
yeah.
safe vehicle. Um, but it was an interesting article in Business Insider, and I saw this and I said, Les and I have to talk about this. And it's titled, it's from Business Insider, and it's titled, Say Goodbye to the U.S. Car Market as We Know It. Cheap Chinese EVs Are Coming. And we'll start this and then we'll talk a little bit about it a little bit more after the break, Les. But the idea is U.S. manufacturers and even Korean and Japanese manufacturers will seed the entry-level EV market to new Chinese manufacturers, right? That will be able to sell cars for as low as $11,000-$15,000 EVs. I don't know what they'll be like,
Boy, that seems
but
yeah.
it is the theory of this uh, Business Insider article, and they're saying, Toyota and Hyundai did it. First it was Toyota, then it was Hyundai, and now it's a company called BYD, which will start importing these things and or building them in the U.S. They'll just build plants in the U.S. so they can still get the incentives. Um, do you think, and there's been this kind of trend in the industry saying, they went through it with the chip shortage, we can sell fewer cars and make the same or more money, and we'd be happy with that.
Yeah, that certainly has been happening with the, let's say, 30,000 and up range of vehicles. Um, yeah, there's a real void in the market for a good, cheap family car.
Yeah, Yeah, I wonder. I mean, there's Nissan models out there that are less expensive. There's Kia models that are out there that are less expensive. But, who will own the lower end of the market?
Right.
We'll talk about that more when we come back on Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staab. He is Les Jackson. We will see you right after the break, so stay tuned.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. We started talking about this before the break. We're going to continue now. What's going to happen? I love guessing like this.
Let's play a game.
But there are trends happening. We were talking about, that are the Chinese going to come in and start selling very affordable, low-priced electric vehicles? And I think it's pretty much inevitable.
Well, this was an article in Business Insider, and they cite two companies that they think would be coming in, and that is Geely, which owns a big chunk of Aston Martin now,
right,
and BYD, and they also talk about Polestar, which is a Swedish EV brand owned by Geely and Volvo, and they import from China. We've seen Buick import from China. So
absolutely, from Geely.
So this is not
GM.
It's not really a. It's not really a far-fetched idea. A couple of interesting things though to point out. If they want to start building plants here, will there be pushback on Chinese plants? Because there's been pushback of them buying farms and things like that. And then what will people think of these vehicles? Some may not, if they don't listen to Cruise Control, they might not even know that they're built in China or designed in China. And then I don't know what Chinese safety standards are like. Do they have any?
Well, probably not a lot, but they have to meet ours.
Yeah.
So,
you can't have them on the IAH tests like with parts flying across the room, right? I mean, you can't just say, yes, this gets incredibly poor, crash test, but it's cheap.
Yeah. Our new, magic budding rose car has the same high quality of a 1960s British sports car.
Right. There's another EV startup called NIO, has announced plans to enter the U.S. by 2025. Interesting. I don't know. I mean, we've seen the change where vehicles are designed by GM for the Chinese market and they never come here, or they're designed for the Chinese market and they decide to sell it here, and it's built in China.
That's exactly right.
Like the Envision.
Bear in mind, the Chinese are selling 5 million EVs a year that they make.
Mm-hmm. So they do have experience in building them.
Yeah, so they seem to know how to do that.
But will they just copy a Tesla and send it over here? And how they do that? You ever see where there's vehicles that look like an F-150, but they have like a 3-cylinder engine in them?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
That's right. Well,
I don't know.
No, if they really want to have a sales presence, they need dealers, they need service, they need to to reach a certain bar, and I think they will. I mean, they're smart business people.
Do you think the dealer stranglehold will ever be broken and they'll just call it a mobility device or something and get around the law, and they can sell it on the internet and Amazon delivers it to you or something?
I absolutely see that happening. I just don't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah. They'll say it's not a vehicle. It's not a motor vehicle. It has a motor, but it will be a mobility device, and it will be, you can buy it online. That's what I think. And then who knows? I mean, maybe Amazon will market it as their car. They'll give it, they'll buy an old name like Packard or something and license it. That's happened a lot. Like the names like Emerson and I believe even Westinghouse, they licensed their name out.
Yeah. Well, Sears, Allstate had a car.
Yeah.
Which was I think basically a Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crosley.
I think it could happen. Who knows? We'll see. But we'll keep
think
you up
so.
to date, and we'll certainly, if they do come here, we'll review them. And of course, VinFast is a Vietnamese car, which is coming here as kind of a higher end EV. So let's see what happens. It's funny. History repeats itself. At the New York Auto Show at the turn of the century, there were like 85 manufacturers. So we might end up there again. And there were electric cars as well. So there you have it. Hey, VW says something's missing from its lineup, Les. What do you think it is? An air-cooled engine?
Propellers.
Well, the CEO of the Volkswagen Group of America has told Automotive News it needs at least one plug-in hybrid in its lineup. And he said they are missing it. They have it in other areas. In Mexico, they have the Audi Q5e. And he said we would really like to have a plug-in hybrid in the U.S. market soon. I think it's a good idea. I like plug-in hybrids. I always say, too, you don't even need to invest in a fast charger. You can just wall plug it in and get your 30 miles, 40-mile range if you plug it in overnight, pretty much, right?
Absolutely. Certainly, they can come up with a plug-in hybrid pretty easily.
Yes. What would you think they would put it in? One of their crossovers, or would they put it in one of their sedans?
I can see the Tiguan with one.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
I don't think the Golf. Remember, they had the e-Golf.
Yeah, they don't have that anymore.
No. I don't think the Atlas. Well, maybe.
Maybe. But I think it's a good idea to have one in there. As a matter of fact, I wanted to check, and I didn't get to do this before prepping the show. I wanted to ask, is every vehicle in the Toyota lineup now a hybrid, have a hybrid available? The big trucks do. The Tacoma just came out.
The Tacoma.
Yeah. All of the sedans do.
The Avalon, the Camry.
The new Crown, which is replacing Avalon, will. Corolla does. I think they virtually all have a hybrid available. I might be wrong about that.
Yeah,
I
think they do.
Yeah, which is great. They are great at getting the mileage up there to really make a difference with no loss of drivability. But plug-in hybrids, a little less common, but I think I certainly think that they will be a big player for years to come. As people transition over, it's a good transition model. So, I think that will be a big story. Let's talk a little tech, shall we?
All right.
So, Ford has apparently, in the United States Patent and Trademark Office, CarBuzz, this comes from CarBuzz, has discovered Ford wants to turn front trunks or frunks into refrigerated compartments. And it might not actually be for what you think. Like I thought, well, great. My frozen yogurt pops, when I come back from the store, they won't melt at all. I'll just keep them in the refrigerated area so they stay the way they should, right?
Sure.
Well, that's one use, but the cooler box would also help keep the cabin cooler. It would keep the battery cooler as well and would help when you're doing high-performance driving, towing a trailer, or there are excessive temperatures. So they want to use this space to cool air that will be used for cooling the battery or helping cool the driver's compartment, the passenger compartment. Interesting, right?
It is. It seems like a good idea.
Yeah. I do like the idea of putting groceries in there, though, and keeping them cool. How about you?
Always. I've always loved these vehicles we test that have, coolers in the cup holders. And
Yes. Yes. I always call out the 12-volt plug in the back area, storage area, because I know you like that so much for your plug-in 12-volt fridge, right? That you carry with you at all times. Les is like, I disavow that. Just quick, because we're going to have an at-the-wheel review. There's a guy in Colorado that got pulled over for drunk driving. He swapped his dog into the driver's seat and told the cop his dog was driving. Cop didn't believe it. The guy ran away, fell over because he was drunk, and got arrested. But apparently,
that happens.
Apparently, it is a crime to put your dog in the driver's seat and say the dog was driving. So he got called out on that as well. But
yes, because
more when we come back.
Yes.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. It's Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We are glad you're along for the ride with us. We've been going through a lot about what's going on in the auto industry, what the future will look like. And, of course, I'm not a prognosticator saying there'll be a lot more electric vehicles, but we like to drive them all. And this time around is the 2023 Lexus RZ. The first electric vehicle from the Lexus brand. And Toyota, it's based on the same vehicle that Toyota sells as the BZ4X. I always have to look down at that name because I don't remember that.
That's a toughie.
Yeah, the RZ, at least I can remember a little bit easier. It comes in two trims, premium and luxury. Of course, we had the luxury. What's unique about this vehicle, Les, in all my years of reviewing vehicles, I've never received a vehicle that is so new that it only had 50 miles on
it. That doesn't happen often. I've had a few.
Yeah.
With 30 miles, 50, 60.
Yeah. It was so.
Usually it's a couple thousand.
It smelled new and it even had tags on it.
Yeah,
it's like
great.
it still had the tag hanging from the dashboard and all that. I left that. But ours was the luxury edition. Fully electric vehicle. Futuristic looking. You get sort of the shape of the Lexus grille without the grille itself in there. And, many people found this to be super, super futuristic, kind of like a look into the future. But you can still tell it's a Lexus. Had a cool color, that light metallic blue, they call it ether, which I liked a lot, frankly. Ours had the optional lit Lexus logo when it's charging. It lets you know that you are charging up the vehicle. Not a huge amount of range in this vehicle, 196 miles. If you get the smaller 18-inch wheels in the premium, you'll get more range. I believe you get 220 miles. But if you opt for the 20-inch alloy wheels in the luxury edition, you're going to lose some mileage. Interesting bit of aerodynamics there. They look like the FTD man's ears or wings on his hat. On the inside, beautiful kind of suede upholstery, a light blue interior. A lot of the switchgear, a lot of the controls are very familiar to Lexus owners. A big use of the head-up display where certain functions can only be seen on the head-up display. So you have to get used to that. And big screen. Big screen in the center console, controlled everything. Took a little bit of getting used to. I like this. This was an option on the roof. You could hit a button and it would go clear, hit the button again, and it would go translucent. And I like that better than having that
Nice.
big rolling piece of cloth that comes over to shade it. Out back, great leg room. The roof line was a little low in the back, but I could still see out of it very well. Kind of that kind of light blue, kind of Alcantara suede type look. But great flat floor, plenty of leg room for rear passengers. They'd be very comfortable. Amenities in the back include heated seats, 3 levels, a couple of USB-C outlets, which are the new cup holders, of course, USB outlets, and some AC power down below from an inverter. All in all, super clean look, rotary shifter. As you can see, the tag is still on the dash, telling us about advanced airbags. Clean interior, high-quality materials, and really nice job from the folks at Lexus, and we should not be surprised. Rear seat, pretty good, pretty flat when folded down. They don't articulate the seat cushion, but that's okay. And then out back, a tremendous amount of storage. Yes, still the tag on there showing you can stick your foot under there and open up the hatch. Great lot of room. Rest easy, Les. There's still a first aid kit. And, of course, the 12-volt plug-in that you crave so much still there. So,
Well, I have to have my my gadgets.
and then storage beneath, you get a 110-volt charger. I always carry an extension cord because I never know where I'll be charging in. The motor, well, the motor looks like an engine, doesn't it? It looks like a 3 or 4-cylinder engine, nicely packaged under there. And just smooth driving vehicle, all-wheel drive. This was all-wheel drive, and you could see which wheels were active when you were driving it. And of course, plug in up on the front fender. I charged up with a 400-volt DC charger from a company named Flow. I believe they are a Canadian company. And I was able to basically get a full charge in about 43 minutes from about I think I had like 70 miles of range left on it. So very, very impressive and easy to do. High belt line on the vehicle to give it that SUV kind of feel. High seating. It's got the black around the trim around the wheel wells, which says it's a crossover. So acceleration 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, which is not bad. Total horsepower is 308. So I felt this thing was very snappy on the road. Quick lane changes. Drove it on the highway probably for 200 miles and was pretty impressed with it. It was, as I said, well equipped, of course, because it's the luxury level, but a couple of options. Cold area package, which I imagine is a battery heater. The 20-inch aluminum wheels come with the package. Illuminated front badge when charging, $200. Dynamic sky panoramic glass roof was $550. Premium paint, $500. Side puddle lamps, $325. Mud guards, $150. And carpeted cargo mat, $140. So total price with options was $66,095. And when you add in the $1,150 destination, it was $67,245. On the road, super enjoyable to drive, super quiet. As I said, lane changes were a snap with this thing. It actually felt like it was faster than 5 seconds to 60. I found the nav a little hard to work and a little hard to tune the radio. That was kind of hidden. Also, when I would do voice commands, if I was connected to Android Auto, sometimes the car would respond and say, do that on Android Auto. I'm still not quite sure how you would select either one of those. I need more time in the vehicle. But quality of the interior, the quality of the build was great. What didn't I like about it? Well, I will say this. Certain areas like The nose of the vehicle, you can press on it, and it felt like it would go in and out. The charge door area seemed like a little flimsy, like you could press on it. The fender moved a little bit. I'd like to not encounter that. But as far as design, I think they did a great job. Lexus always does a great job with design and quality materials on the inside. Let's be honest, I'd like to see more range than 196 miles. At this price level, I'd love to see something, in the 300-mile range, but it's just not there yet. It was my first time using the charging, the direct DC charging. At this location is near some family members, so they put in a brand new DC charger, so I thought, try it out. And that was impressive, And the good thing was, with that location, I can go back to their house and then just get a ride down to the station, when it's charged up. But a good experience with flow charging. Hey, that is the RZ 450e from the folks at Lexus, their first fully electric vehicle. We hope you've enjoyed that At the Wheel review. It's time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye.